Hi, good afternoon or good morning, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. This is the third in the series on web design, and today I'm going to be talking about pay per click advertising, a very, very interesting topic and a topic that really can bring new leads into your business at a cost, of course, but something that a cost that I believe is worth paying in many, many cases, and I will explain exactly why as we go through this presentation. Very brief introduction about me. I run a couple of translation companies. I've been involved in this business for quite a while now. I really, really love it. And I also love podcasting and I love talking about anything related to the internet. In particular, of relevance to today's presentation is that I have been using Google pay-per-click adverts for quite a number of years now. I would say something in the region of 6 or 7 years, perhaps. And I've spent tens of thousands of dollars on them, which sounds like a lot of money. But of course, if you divided that up over a certain number of years, it's not that much. And it's money that I know I've got back several times or perhaps many times over. So it has been an investment that has been well worth it for me. What am I going to cover today? Well, I'm going to go through a definition of what Google Ads are, why they are useful, and then we're going to come out of the presentation and we're really going to go into the Google Ads tool itself. And I'm going to go through a demonstration. I'm going to show you my account. I'm going to show you exactly how it works and show you some of the tweaks that I make to my own adverts. We're also going to discuss other forms of targeted traffic. Of course, Google AdWords is not the only form of targeted traffic out there. So we'll be talking about that as well. So just a reminder for those of you who haven't seen session 2, what is SEO and what is pay per click? Well, SEO, as search engine optimization, as the image there implies, is organic. So your search term, when someone enters a search term, your website is showing as a result of having great content and other characteristics required by the Google algorithm, and is showing up in natural search results. Whereas pay-per-click is because people are paying for those adverts for those particular keywords, and it is coming up in a paid advert. Just very quickly, just to go into Google here and show you exactly what I mean. So let's put Italian translator in London. Why not? I haven't tried that one before. And immediately you can see these three adverts here. This is pay-per-click advertising, everything that actually has ad next to it. So normally at the top and the side and sometimes at the bottom. These adverts here, or these search results rather than adverts, are organic results. So you can get into these positions as a result of SEO, and you can get into these positions as a result of pay-per-click advertising. So that's SEO versus PPC. Now, when we get into the world of Google Ads, which is probably or almost certainly the biggest provider of this type of advertisement, then there are a couple of things, a couple of terms that we need to keep in mind. One is that there are two kind of ads. One is AdWords and the other one is Adsense, and they're very, very different. So I'm going to start with the bottom one, Adsense, you might have heard of, and that is where you can give up some space on your own page to have other people's adverts on your page. And when someone clicks on one of those adverts, then you will get paid. So instead of paying, you are getting paid. Now, what's the problem with that kind of advertising? It might sound quite attractive to have a little bit of extra revenue. Who doesn't want a little bit of extra money coming into the business? But the problem is that it's taking up space on your page. So really, where you could have one of your own calls to action, perhaps saying, quote a document with me, or find out more about me or my company, you're giving up some of that really valuable online real estate for someone else's adverts, and you don't have complete control over the adverts that appear on your page. So you could be advertising the competition. You could be advertising something inappropriate or something that you don't feel is really very well aligned with your business. It might be confusing or annoying to your readers or your visitors. AdSense does work, however, when you have lots and lots of traffic. But I would suggest that most people within the translation industry, most freelance translators, do not have lots and lots of traffic, and therefore should probably steer clear. My recommendation would be to steer clear of AdSense. It's really not worth the small amounts of money that you get paid for it, because they are relatively small amounts. You'll get a few cents per click. So you need to have lots of traffic and lots of clicks to build up to any meaningful amount. So getting $12 a month in AdSense revenue for giving up some valuable real estate on your own page is something that, to me, doesn't seem worth it. AdWords, on the other hand, is where we are paying for clicks to our website when people enter certain search terms. So let's say I'm a French translator in London. Well, when someone types French translator in London into Google, I probably want my website to come up in the paid adverts, and I want someone to click on it. And that brings us onto the theme of targeted traffic, which is one of the reasons why we are really going to go for Google Ads, or why we are going to consider Google Ads. Just a bit more of a definition here of how it all works. So how it works with Google AdWords, you can reach people as they search for words or phrases, which we call keywords. Remember, a phrase is called a keyword as well, even if it's made up of multiple words, or browse websites with themes related to your business. Your ad can appear on Google and its partner websites, important that one, with cost per click, CPC bidding. You're charged only when someone clicks your ad. So if you set up cost per click, you will only actually pay when someone clicks on your advert. So your ads appear in the first image there at the bottom, besides relevant content. It's got to be relevant. This is the whole idea behind targeted traffic. So people are looking for a French or an Italian translator in London or wherever it might be, or whatever kind of interpreter, a medical interpreter in the US or whatever it might be. So people are finding relevant websites. They're not finding, buy a washing machine when they're looking for a translator. They're finding relevant websites. They're then clicking on your ads. They've already got an interest. And as it says there in the last image, and connect to your business. So you're getting interested people to your website we know they have some kind of interest in what you do, because those were the exact words that they've typed into Google, as we will see a little bit further on exactly how all of this works. Now, why bother with Google Ads? I think, I'm going to start with the bottom point there. Other forms of advertising all cost, as one of my coaching students recently pointed out to me, and it's a very, very true statement. Every activity that you do, even if it appears to be free, has a cost to it. So you might be in a situation where you're perhaps giving some of your time to, or investing some of your time to go to a conference in a particular industry sector. You're trying to meet people. You're trying to find out people's information, perhaps online, and phone them up or send them cold emails or whatever it might be. If you analyze the type of advertising or the type of marketing that you are undertaking at the moment, you will realize that everything has a cost. Now, it might not be so clear cut in terms of money as it is with Google Ads, because we know exactly what we pay, but it certainly is going to be an investment of your time. Going back to the top now, one of the main reasons to have Google Ads, or to implement Google Ads, is the fact that we are getting targeted traffic. So we're not just getting random traffic. If we look at the old school methods of advertising, handing out a flyer, for example, you don't really know who you are handing that flyer out to. You might be able to target it in a certain way by, for example, standing in a location where you believe your clients will walk past, but you can't guarantee that that is going to be targeted traffic. If you take out an advertisement in a newspaper, for example, and the newspaper boasts 100,000 readers, or an equally impressive circulation number, well, there's no real guarantee that those people who are reading that newspaper are going to be interested at all in what you have to offer. And think about this: when you browse through a newspaper, what are you interested in? Are you interested in the sport? Are you interested in looking at different sections or culture or whatever it might be? So, and then within those sections, they have adverts, and some of them might be of interest and some of them might be of no interest whatsoever. So the reason for using Google Ads is to get targeted traffic. We know that if we're a French translator in London, we can get people who are looking for French translators in London to visit our website and then hopefully take action and connect with our business. Google Ads makes it very easy to control your investment. So we will see how you can set your budget on a daily budget for each advert. You can set different controls on the Google Ads platform that really make it very, very straightforward to control exactly how much you are investing, or at least the maximum amount you are investing. The third point here, this is something that is very easy to set up and very easy to monitor. I have a massive interest in all things internet and in WordPress and in Google Ads and in all kinds of other things, search engine optimization, but I wouldn't really consider myself an expert in any of them. I've learned certain techniques and I found them very easy to learn. I think you're an intelligent translator, you will find it very easy to set up and to monitor this kind of advert. So why don't we take a look at exactly how this all fits together? So let's get out of that. Let me log out of this one. And let's go into Google Ads. So Google AdWords. You will, of course, need a Google account, as you do with all of these things. So you need to set up a Google account if you don't already have one. So let's just log in then. Let's see what we are actually looking at. Of course, this is not the screen that you will come to when you first log in if you've not done it before. I have some campaigns already set up on this account. These are the campaigns that I'll be showing you today. You will normally want to start by setting up a campaign. That's one of the first things that you have to do, to set up a campaign, to get something up and running. And one of the things I really like about Google Ads is that you don't need to get everything right first time. You can set it up and then you can tweak it. You can change the amounts, you can change the keywords, you can even change the times and the days on which you want your adverts to show or to run. So you can really change an awful lot of things. But let's start at the beginning. And the first thing you're going to want to do, typically, once you've opened your account, is to add a campaign. So we've got a big red Add Campaign button there. When I select that, it comes up with a number of different options. So search network with display, search network only, and display network only. Well, if you want your adverts to show up in Google, the main one to select is a search network. This search network, as it says here, will give you an opportunity to reach more customers and involves your adverts appearing on other people's websites where they can then click through to your site. There are some other options here, such as video ads, but I would suggest that whilst you're getting to know the system, you start off with search network only. So we click on the search network only, and that takes us to a to setting up the campaign page. So campaign number. Well, let's do Alexandria webinar. Okay, so that's just a name we're going to give our campaign. Again, many options here, and I wouldn't encourage you to worry about them at the moment until you understand more about Google Ads. I think we can go for standard first of all and get started from there. So here we have Google Search Network. It's got this include search partners button here. I don't really think we need that right at the beginning. Okay, so let's have a look now at what countries, and this is the first part of targeting, which I think is absolutely great. So which locations do you want to target or exclude in your campaign? Now we have the option to go for all countries and territories, or we have the option to choose, and you can simply type in your location here and select. So if I want my adverts to run in France, there we are. If I want my adverts to run in Germany, I can do that. If I want them to run in, even more specific, if I want them only to run in Berlin, I've got, I can put them to show up in Berlin. Now you have to think carefully about where your customers come from, because just because you are a French translator in London, it doesn't necessarily mean that you only want to receive traffic from London. What about people in other parts of the country who are planning to go to London and have an event where they need, let's say, a French interpreter, or people based in other countries that they simply need a French translator? So you have to think carefully, but targeting does help you to focus your activity on people who are going to be relevant, because if you have adverts that are really worldwide, then it's kind of unlikely that you are going to have the required level of targeting. You might get lots of traffic to your website, you might get lots of clicks that might cost you a lot of money, but if those people then realize that you're actually based in another country, are they really going to be that interested in having the service with you? Well, of course, it depends on lots of factors, but really important to choose the correct location. Well, I'm going to flip this back to Colombia because I'm based here in Colombia, and I think it's going to be easiest for me to set up the advert that way. Now, based on your targeted locations, you may want to target pages that use these interface languages. I generally do go for English and Spanish. So I'm targeting those kind of languages, that people who are operating in those languages. Depending on your languages, again, you can target all languages, but it might result in some unnecessary traffic that you are going to pay for that you don't actually need or want. Now, this is where it gets complicated, I think, for most people. This is where most people sort of get scared about how much they're actually going to pay. And the first thing I would say is that you just start off with a default bid of somewhere in the region of 50 cents. So that means, and I would always recommend that you manually set your bids. So I would not bother with this option here. I would go with manually set the bids and a default bid of 50 cents. That's just to get things started. We can modify that, we can change it, we can adjust it, and work on it as time goes on. It's also a good idea to set up a maximum budget per day. So how much do you actually want to pay per day? Well, let's start off with $5 a day. The actual spend may vary. It could be a bit more. So it says here, may peak at 20% above. So you need to be careful that you are happy with this budget. $5 a day gives us a maximum of $152 a month. So that's the sort of thing that you probably should be looking at. I would suggest that, if you can't sort of go for $100 a month, this is probably not worth having a go at. And you also need to let it run for a little period of time. You can't get enough data over 3 or 4 days, for example. So you can't just put $5 a day in and let it run for 4 days and you spent $20 and you say, oh, well, it doesn't work. You need to let the system build up a little bit of data so you can see exactly what is happening to your adverts. Add extensions. Well, I've got some location extensions set up in my account. I've got some site links set up in my account, and I have some phone numbers as well. So these are extra areas that, again, I'm sure you've seen on Google when you type in a particular search term. Some websites just appear to show a very basic listing. Others seem to have phone numbers and different sections on their website as well. So this is more of an advanced option. No need to worry about it for the time being. So now we are on to actually creating an advert, creating our advert. And we need to think about it sort of very carefully as we go through this. So the first thing it's asking you for here is a landing page. Now your landing page is where you want the potential client to land. Obvious, right? What's perhaps not so obvious is where on your website they should land. Many people have visitors landing on their homepage, and your homepage might be great and it might be the center of everything. But let's say if you offer two different services, such as translating and interpreting. Well, if someone is looking for translation, wouldn't it be better that they arrived at a landing page specifically for translation? And if they were looking for interpreting, wouldn't it be better that they land on a page specifically for interpreting? I would say yes, and I tend to have many of my landing pages set up so that they actually take the visitor to a contact form and not the home page. Okay. However, I'm just going to put in the home page here. Typically, one of my landing pages actually would look like something like contact, let's say contact translations or something like that. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put in the basic landing page for now. Okay. So put in my landing page and I'm going to put in a name here and I'm going to call it just Columbia 1. Okay. So again, these are all just names that you put in. I've got the default bid here. Now, it's recognized a few things from my page that it might sort of recommend keywords that I recommend. These are, of course, all in Spanish. Now, I can either add these automatically or I can add them myself. So I can type in here, for example, I can type in curso de inglés, like for those of you who don't speak Spanish, English course, okay? Or I can type in traducción inglés. Okay, so I can type in my own keywords, English translation, or I can simply pull across here from the keywords recommended. Okay, so I've got here Institutos de Inglés. I've got an ad group that it's set up automatically for me with these keywords, and I've got another ad group up here. Well, actually, to make it simple for now, I'm just going to put it all into one section, just for the point of this exercise. You can set up different ad groups, different adverts. There's many options, but let's just get rid of that one for now. So I've got a few keywords in there. You probably want to start with 10 or 20 keywords, at least 10, absolutely at least 10, in order to make sure that you're getting a sufficiently big sample. Okay, so now I'm going to click on Continue to Ads, and we're actually going to write the advert. So what is this advert for? What are we trying to sell or to offer? And for those of you who are good writers, I'm sure you are, you're great translators. Translators are great writers. Copywriting is a very good skill. It's very important to have some good words here, something that really is going to grab someone's attention. So let's just come up with a couple of things. What can I come up with? Top quality translations. Let's put that in there. Okay, English, Spanish, Portuguese. Again, I'm not really thinking about this too much, but right, so great quality. All right, let's put 10 years experience. 10 years experience, excellent value. Okay, so I've just made that up. And as you can see, immediately I've got a problem here. The last one is too long. So I'm going to have to change that word. Let's just put in great value for now. Why not? So we've got an advert. We need a landing page here. So we're going to put the landing page in here. Where's the... Okay. Let's put the landing page in. So we've got an advert, and you should check the look of the adverts on these on the top and bottom and the side ad, because it will show up in different formats. So you can see on the top and bottom ad, it's put two lines together. So you need to make sure that they look okay. I mean, overall, I'm not really overly happy with that advert. It's just something that I've come up with very quickly to give you an idea. But the language that you use is so important. So once you're happy with the advert, again, you can have a preference for a mobile device. I would leave that for now. Once you're happy with the advert, we can go ahead and create it. Okay, so this is the display URL. I'm happy most of the time for that to just be the same as the final URL. You can obviously change it so it looks slightly different, but that looks fine to me. So now we're going to go ahead and create the advert. Okay, so we've created an advert. We can obviously create more. We can create many different options. There's plenty of help here with on the website. It's on the Google Ads platform itself. Tips for creating successful ads. So if you want to click on that, that will take you through to some tips. And there's many help, many sort of these helpful pointers that come up whilst you're using this tool, which is one of the reasons it is so easy to use. You're not on your own at all. So now I'm going to save and finish. I've got a campaign up and running. Now, remember that when I set up this campaign, I entered some keywords. Now, what I'm going to tell you now is very important and could save you a lot of money. The difference between doing it right and doing it wrong can be quite significant in financial terms. What I would like to do now is go to the keywords here. So these are the keywords that we typed in for this advert, and it doesn't really matter what these keywords are right at the moment, but you can see there's some that are what I would call long tail keywords. This one here, Institutos de Inglés en Bogotá Económicos, and you can see here these are shorter, just 2 words. So these ones are more specific. You can immediately see we've got some red flags coming up, and very important over here on the right hand side, you can see the match type. Now, this is one of the things that I don't like about Google Ads, is that every time you put in a new advert, it automatically puts the keyword match type as broad. It automatically puts the keyword match type as broad. Now, you might want broad and you might not. Let me explain. What are the 3 match types? Well, the 3 match types are exact, phrase, and broad. Exact, phrase, and broad. Exact means that your advert will only show when the visitor to Google types in the exact phrase that you are looking for. Okay, the exact phrase. Broad is the other extreme. Broad means that if they type in something similar, then they will then your advert will show. Now, in my experience, broad matches bring in more traffic, which is going to result in, obviously, from a higher number of clicks, and is going to cost you more money. Depending on your particular niche, that might or might not be successful for you. But in my experience, it brings up too many things that are totally irrelevant, such as if you have English or Spanish as a language in your keywords, it will bring up things such as Spanish cooking and English cooking, which, whilst they might be interesting to some people, is really not what you are going to be offering on your translation or interpreting website. So I would really recommend that you steer clear of broad. Phrase is another option. I think it's a better option than broad because it matches certain characteristics of the phrase that the person types in. However, to control costs and to really make sure that the people who arrive at your website have been filtered and are really looking for the kind of service that you are offering, I recommend switching immediately to an exact match keyword. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to highlight all of the keywords, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to change the match type. So I'm going to edit, change match types. Okay, and I'm going to change from a broad match to an exact match. I'm not going to have duplicate keywords. I'm just going to change these keywords that I have from broad to exact. Make changes. Okay. So now, as you can see, checking down here, everything says exact. So we're good to go. Okay. So that campaign is now up and running, and you can see I've got the maximum cost per click here. I've got no clicks, no impressions. We've got no data because nothing has actually happened on this campaign so far. That's why you need to leave it to run for a couple of days at least before you can get some valuable data and start to see what is going on with your adverts. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Just before I get onto that, one other point on the landing page. There are some great companies out there that actually offer landing pages, and you don't even need to have a website. So you can actually direct Google to a landing page. So one of the well-known ones is Lead Pages. They help you to set up landing pages, so you don't need a website. Another one would be Unbounce. These are companies that just help you to make pages, web pages, that look great, have plenty of calls to action. And if you want, you can direct Google AdWords traffic to these pages. Okay, so you simply choose a template. If you can do it on your website, it's probably better because you have more control and at the end of the day, a lower cost. So I would encourage you to build these kind of landing pages yourself. So let's go back to Google AdWords. Now we've set up our campaign. I want to go back to the home page. The page that typically appears when you log into your account. And let's see what we've got going on here. Well, we've got this Alexandria webinar here. This is the one that we've just set up. So I'm not going to be looking at that. Because that's not really relevant anymore. What I'm going to be looking at is the campaigns that I actually have up and running and live. So I've got this one, Traducciones Bogotá. This is for translation services. I have a budget of $10 a day. I'm using search network only. And as you can see up here in the top right-hand corner, you can change the period in which you are analyzing the data. So I've got all time, last week, this week, yesterday, today, and so on. So I think last 7 days is actually quite a nice period to analyze the data over. So let's go from left to right and see what we've got. Well, I've got a budget of $10 a day. I've got a little light bulb here saying that there's some opportunities to improve this campaign's performance. The other thing to keep in mind, I think, is that Google does have an interest in obviously you paying more and more money and adding more and more terms. And you need to be careful not to take them up on all of their offers. You really need to review carefully what is going to work for you and your business. So in the last week, I've got 85 clicks that have come through to my website, and there have been 1,123 impressions. Now, the impressions are the number of times that the advert is actually showing. But remember, I'm only paying for when I have clicks. So someone might type in a particular search term related to translation. My advert might show, and yet if they don't actually click on it, I don't pay for it. Okay. The next column across is very important. That's the click-through rate. And you can see here 7.5%. Typically, anything over 2% is quite good, which shows that I've got a couple of campaigns here that I need to take a look at, this one and this one. But these two campaigns that I have in the middle here have a very healthy click-through rate, which means that my adverts are relevant for the terms that people are searching for. They're well above the 2%. I've then got the average cost per click that I'm paying. So I'm paying somewhere in the region of 50 cents, 40 to 60 cents per click. And this is the total cost over the course of the week. As you can see from all of my campaigns, I've paid $70 over the last week. This column here shows the average position Now, when you type in a search term and you have Google ads come up, you will see that some ads appear higher up than others, of course. Some are in position 1, some are in position 2, some are in position 3, and so on. So my adverts are typically showing at 1.5, so either first or second. So that's very good. And I personally haven't set up the rest of the data. You can set up the rest of the data so that it registers exactly how many people take action once they are on your site, for example, in terms of filling out a contact form. But this is good enough for me. I've got the data that I need for the time being. I've got the number of clicks. I know exactly how much I'm paying for those clicks. And what I'm going to do now is take a bit more of a detailed look into this campaign. In particular, I'm going to have a look at the keywords. And this is where you want to really monitor what is going on. So you can see here all of these keywords that I've entered. I have quite a few, and they're all, or they should be, if we take a look over to the right-hand side, they all should be exact match keywords. Yes, they are all exact match keywords. In fact, I have more on the next page, and they are all, oh, there's one broad one there. Okay, one broad one there. Okay, well, that is something that needs to be taken care of. So I'm just going to go click there, edit, change match types, and I'm going to go broad to exact. Okay, so remember, I want everything to be showing up as an exact match keyword. Now, I'm going to take a bit more of a look at what's going on with each individual keyword and which ones are actually getting me the clicks. Which ones are getting me the clicks? Well, you can order these columns in terms of numerical value, you know, highest first or lowest first. So I've got it in order of highest first in terms of clicks here. Okay, so you can obviously order it in terms of impressions or click-through rate or average cost per click or whichever one you want to take a look at. So you can see here I've had 16 clicks on this term here, official translators, and my click-through rate is 8%. My cost per click is 69 cents, and my overall cost is $11. Now, I am absolutely sure that I've got those $11 back because I would have got that back on one business, basically. So I'm sure that in the course of the last week, we've done more than that, and I'm very, very happy. Of course, if you can come up with a more mathematical evaluation, then even better. But I'm really happy with that number. I'm happy with Traductor Colombia. I'm happy with these keywords. Sometimes you have a keyword that is just too general. So you might just have translation. And even though it's conditioned in terms of location, in other words, people in a particular part of the world looking for translation, it still tends to be too general. And I would recommend that you really focus on more specific keywords, at least 2-word keywords, because something else, something shorter than that is going to be way too general. Now you can see here, this one here is rarely shown due to a low quality score. Well, that's not great, although it happens, I think, in every Google AdWords account, because a low quality score means that when people type in that and land on my website, they're not finding what they're looking for, and that's not something that I want, obviously. So we don't want these. The other thing I would say is that in my niche, as in many translation areas, there aren't that many, there isn't that much traffic. There is plenty of traffic, but there's not that much traffic compared to, something like healthcare or something very, very general. So the more specific we can be, the better. There's another warning here. It says below first page bid, which means that my bid is too low. Now, my bid might not show up if someone types in that particular search term. I like that search term. I think that search term is going to give me business, so I'm actually going to up that bid. It says a minimum of 93 cents. I'm going to put it up to $1 because I really want that search term to come through for me. So I go through, generally check any of those, check anything that doesn't look right, check I've got everything on an exact match, check how much I'm paying, check that's within my budget. What else have we got here? Traductores oficiales. Okay, this is a long tail keyword. I'm not particularly bothered about changing that right at the moment. So, we can have a flick through and we can see what kind of keywords I'm using, and we can adjust them using that page. So I think that's really, really important. There are many, many other things that you can change. In fact, one of the questions that I had from someone is, Well, what do I do about bots, about people clicking on my, or not people, robots clicking on my website adverts that are not even real people? They're not going to have a real interest. Well, that's a massive, massive concern. If you're paying for clicks, you want to know that the people actually clicking on them are real people and people who are actually going to have a genuine interest in your services. Unfortunately, there's no real way to guarantee that you are not going to be clicked on by a robot. However, what you can do is measure. If you measure things, in your campaign, then you will know whether it's working or not. If you are spending $50 a week and you are getting more than that in terms of your overall profit from the business that comes in as a direct result from people filling in the contact forms or calling you up or whatever your call to action is, if you know that you are making a profit and it's very easy to measure, then you should continue. In fact, not only should you continue, you should perhaps do more of what you're doing. A lot of this iteration is about finding something that works, and if it doesn't work, stop it. If it doesn't work, stop it. If it does work, double it or do more of it. It makes sense. It makes sense. So sometimes Google Ads will come up with a little notification for me that says you are losing out on adverts due to a lack of budget, and I will then take the decision to invest more or not. When we go back to the sort of initial page here, you can see that I've got amounts such as for this one, I've got a maximum of $10 a day. And actually, even though, and actually here, the overall cost over a week is $50, which is an average of just over $7 a day. So I'm not even reaching my maximum budget. And I'm not reaching my maximum budget because I've got exact match keywords and they only come up so often. So I can't even increase my budget to, let's say, $30 a day, even if I wanted to. Well, I could increase it, but I wouldn't really get any more traffic or any more. I wouldn't get any more hits. I would get a lot more hits if I either add more exact match keywords, and when I think of an exact match keyword, then I add it. So, I'm sure there's plenty of exact match keywords. And back in session 2, I talked about how to find keywords, but there's plenty of exact match keywords that I haven't thought of. So as I think of them, I add them. But I really don't want to go to a broad match because that's just going to cost me a ton of money and it's not really going to improve my results. So very, very important to look at your keywords, to adjust the amounts. And the other thing you can do is carry out what's called split testing. So you can set up a couple of different adverts and you can see which one does better for you, or you can see which set of keywords is performing better for you. So a number of different things that you can do. There's also a tab up here that I quite like that is called opportunities. So it'll show you what else you can do on your campaigns. As I said, you don't want to accept everything. You want to view the opportunity. Add new keywords to get your ads in front of more potential customers. Okay, what opportunities do we have here? So it's showing me some keywords that could get me 58 more impressions and 5 more clicks for a certain cost. So it might include my budget. Well, let's have a look at these keywords. Yeah, I'm not sure about those. Looking at them, they're not necessarily the right keywords for me. They're more related with apostilles rather than translation. So you know what? I'm actually going to leave that. But sometimes you'll look through these and you'll think, yeah, great. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a little bit of extra juice coming through to my website, and you will accept them. But this whole thing is completely, you can modify it in many, many ways. It's completely adaptable. This is another screen here where you can look at the keywords. Here are my good quality but low traffic keywords. You can see here I've got very good click-through rates on these. These are all my keywords, all enabled campaigns. This is full of data and you can really flick through it. And you can also even, on the other page where we have different columns, you can even tailor it to get the columns that you want on showing. So it's something that I think is really fantastic in terms of how much you can actually modify it or manipulate it. So something to think about. That's Google AdWords. Have a think about how it might work for you. Remember, this is relevant, targeted traffic. It's something that can get the right people to your website. And once you've got them on your website, of course, you can then take the next step and ask them to complete a call to action. Don't just get them to your website and have a nice description of yourself. What is it that you want them to do? You want them normally to do something like quote a document, ask for information about an interpreting event, or something like that. So trust the numbers is the other thing that I would say. You might think you've come up with the world's best advert. You might think you're the world's best copywriter. You might believe that your market is full of people who want to invest in your service. And this is going to be a hugely worthwhile technique for you. And it might be, but what's going to tell you whether it works for you or not? The numbers. The numbers are going to tell you whether it's worthwhile or not. Another thing to keep in mind is the lifetime value of a customer. Now, for me, it's a little bit difficult to establish the lifetime value of a customer for a translation client. They all seem so different. I have, translations that are a couple of pages. I have translations that are absolutely gigantic. So it's a whole range. It's a little bit difficult to establish sometimes an exact value, but it is a concept that is well worth keeping in mind. How much does it cost you to get a client from using Google Ads? Now, you might be paying 5 cents a click. 50 cents a click, and therefore for every 10 clicks you might be paying $5, and for that $5 you might get one new client. Now, is that worth it? In most cases, that's going to be something that is well worthwhile. If you were saying, well, I only actually make $3 out of each translation job, well, then investing $5 is clearly not going to be worth it unless they are a recurring client. So in that example, if they pay $3 each month, let's say, or $3, and then they become an ongoing client and they're worth $3 in value or profit to you, then investing $5 is something that would make sense. And I don't know how it is for you, but I certainly have many, many recurring clients. They don't come back to me every day. They don't come back to me every week or even every month. Sometimes they can come back perhaps every 6 months. But I do have many, many clients that are recurring. The other thing to take a look at is your competition. Who are you? Who is your competition? Are there other freelance translators, companies? And take a look at what they are doing. Do they appear on Google Ads for specific search terms? Well, if they do, then it suggests that their activity is profitable because no one does things for the sake of it. If they don't appear, well, it either might mean that it's not profitable, or it might mean that they really haven't taken advantage of this opportunity. And if you go in and take it, you might find yourself being in a great position. So it's always worth checking out what the competition is up to. Have a good think again about the AdWords copy. Very, very important, much more important than you might think or believe. The power of words is just incredible. This is something that was introduced to me some years ago when I was selling or learning how to sell. Really, the effect that your words can have on people is absolutely incredible. So anyone who is into neuro-linguistic programming and that kind of thing, the power of words, absolutely astonishing. And the power of the written word is no different. You really want AdWords copy that is attractive, something that looks nice, that reads nice, something that's clear, something that is specific as well. Remember that we are looking for targeted traffic, and the more specific something is, generally the better. We might also want something that's intriguing, something just sort of interesting enough for someone to click on our advert. Your keyword should also be in the ad itself, preferably in the title. So if you're that French translator in London, then you should probably be putting something very similar to that in the title. Okay, well, that wraps up where we are in terms of the actual demonstration. There are, of course, a couple of other forms of targeted traffic out there. Let's have a look at those. I tend to focus on Google Ads. I have used Facebook ads quite a bit as well, and LinkedIn and Twitter. Well, I haven't used myself, but I understand that they have various forms of targeting available. And this is the difference. This is the big difference between now and many years ago. You can really target your traffic. So if you believe that your clients are on LinkedIn, you should take a look at where they are on LinkedIn and perhaps use targeted adverts to get in touch with those people. Now, why pay for something if you can do the legwork yourself and get people to your website yourself? Of course, you can. You can do search. You can employ search engine optimization strategies. You can learn all about it, and you can set up an amazing website that is going to attract loads and loads of organic traffic. But how much time is involved in that, and how much is your time worth? Yeah, it's the same on LinkedIn. You can reach out to different people. You can invite them to join your network, and then you can get in touch with them, and you might be able to get some clients that way. Yeah, it's a good strategy, but it does take a lot of work. So paying for things up front, and I'm not talking about a huge investment, paying for things up front can get you in front of people that otherwise might take you a long time to get in front of. And you've really got to think about your overall business strategy. What is it that you're trying to get out of this, and when? Do you want new business this month, next month? Or are you prepared to implement an SEO strategy that might take 6 months, and then you might start to get new clients in month 7 and month 8? Well, I don't know if I would want to wait that long. The wise men in this business are saying that you should probably employ both strategies. So that is search engine optimization, organic traffic, building up content on your page, great, natural, valuable content and links with other people's websites. And in addition to SEO, also use a PPC or pay-per-click campaign. You probably don't want to use one or the other. Why not? Because, well, pay-per-click is going to be expensive if you exclusively focus on that. And SEO might be a little bit slow if you exclusively focus on that. So a combination of the two is highly recommended. Let's just have a look at Facebook a second. So if we go into Facebook here, I've got Adverts Manager on my Facebook account. That takes me through to some adverts that I can set up. And well, Facebook's slightly different targeting, but it is pretty amazing. So if I create a new campaign, again, very easy. I've got all sorts of different options here. What kind of people do I want? Reach people near your business? Do I want to get conversions? Do I want to send people to my website? Okay, well, let's send people to my website. What website shall I send, or what landing page rather shall I send people to? Well, let's just put that in for the time being. So that's a business English page, and it says set here audience and budget. Again, you can change all of these settings here. So this particular audience is showing Colombia between 18 and 65, and it says your audience selection is fairly broad. I would tend to really focus your audience much more. Certainly for the products and services that I sell, 18 is probably a bit young. I tend to focus on a market that often might be between 30 and 45. Depends on the service, depends on the product, and but you can really kind of enter the demographics that you want. So you can even add interests and behaviors. I can put people who are interested in business, people who are interested in languages, people who are interested in technology, and there's subsections within all of these. It's quite incredible, the level of targeting. I can find people who are interested in computer monitors. So I mean, that's a pretty highly targeted market that we can get to. So I think it's quite good. I can even change the connection type. So are they friends? Are they friends of friends? People who've liked my page, and so on and so on. I can set a daily budget. I can run my advert continuously, or what I normally do. I don't like running things continuously because sometimes you forget, and then you might be hit with a big bill. What I would normally do is set a start date and an end date for these adverts. And again, we've got cost per click adverts, and then it takes you through to the next page, which is actually to set up the advert itself. So you're normally going to be entering an image, and you're going to be entering some text or some copy. Again, very important to think about the exact nature of that text, or focus on improving your copywriting skills. I think that's a skill well worth developing on a continuous basis. And remember, you might be a great writer, but writing for the internet is slightly different. You need to be really precise. You really need to focus on the keywords, and you really need to grab the attention in the few seconds that you have with that person. So that gives you an idea on some of the other forms of targeted traffic. And that actually brings us to the end of today's presentation. As I've said throughout all of these sessions, I really want to help you if you do have an interest in this area. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can contact me via the website that shows throughout this presentation. I'll give you some more contact details right at the end. So finally, some conclusions. What can I conclude from this? Well, I've been doing this for a while now, and I will say that PPC, pay-per-click, will definitely increase traffic and absolutely generate leads, which is what most of us, if not all of us, want for our business. As I've mentioned, the best combination is SEO plus PPC, search engine optimization, and pay-per-click advertising. That seems to be the most efficient. Monitoring is easy. It only takes a few minutes every day. This is not a big time drain once you have it set up. Budget control is straightforward as well. Budget control is straightforward. You can set a daily amount that you will only go over by a maximum of 20%, so you know exactly how much you are going to be spending, or at least what your maximum spend is going to be on a monthly basis. And finally, it costs, but let's be honest, so does everything else. You need to have a marketing budget. You need to invest in yourself. You need to invest in your company. And actually, Google Ads is a very good way of doing it, because it does free up your time. Because yes, you're paying, but you're freeing up more time compared to some other marketing activities, which are also very, very valuable. I'm not denying that. And I would recommend as well that Google Ads is used as part of an overall strategy. You should have a number of different marketing strategies, both online and offline. But I think this fits in very nicely with the world of translation and interpreting. It helps you get targeted traffic. It helps you get more business. And I really hope it works for you. And as I said, I can help you if you need any help. So please let us have the feedback. If you're watching it live, then you can let Delphine know afterwards. If not, you can send her an email, or the team at Alexandria. You can contact me through that website that's shown there, or via Twitter. But I really, really would appreciate any feedback. So please just take a minute from what you're doing and send out a tweet or contact me in some way. I would really, really appreciate it. That brings to an end this series on web design. And finally, before I take any questions, if there are any, a big thank you to Delphine and the Alexandria team for setting it all up. Thanks very much, and all the best. Bye-bye.
Right, thank you very much. I have the recording.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I was looking